Welcome to Artemis Oracle and Tarot, a sacred space for seekers on the moonlit path. Here we hold space for complexity and honour the intuitive, the unseen and the in-between. The cards that I use were designed by me and they feature divine masculine archetypes to assist with introspection and healing. We all have a relationship to masculinity regardless of our gender identity or sexuality. So if you've arrived here, know that you're welcome and there's a place for you. Hey Libra, welcome back to Artemis Oracle and Tarot. This is your November reading. Trying something a little bit different this month. I decided to meditate on your energy and what came up seems interesting. I haven't pulled any cards yet. Kind of honestly, it started off feeling a little bit silly, but then the more that I did some free association, the more relevant it seemed to you. So I literally started by breaking down the words Libra. So I got Lib at first, and that obviously made me think of liberty, and I drew some scales. And then Ra as the sun god who reveals and gives clarity was the next part that emerged. And then I was just sitting there looking at Libra, and I was like, library. And so I wrote that obviously, and I drew lines up to reveals and clarity, because when we go to a library and we read, it reveals, knowledge. And that knowledge can be used to give us clarity, and then that leads to wisdom. But then I felt compelled to write the library within you. So I'm not suggesting getting out your library card and going for a trip into town to get some books. What came through strongly was this sense of Librans almost as custodians of wisdom of humanity, Akashic records, and a very sacred role that you play in witnessing the world. So let's sit with that for now, and I'll get the cards out and explain a little bit more about what we'll be doing for you today, but that's a nice little opener, I think. Alright, so we'll be doing a different spread for you this month, Libra. It's the simple Celtic cross with just a slight twist. So if you have done tarot before, or if you have had a tarot reading before, you might recognize this one. It's probably one of the most, I would say it's probably the most known spread. I'm just doing the simplified version of it, which is 6 cards with a twist. And the twist is that I'll be using oracle cards in the center, and then around the outside will be tarot cards. So the oracle cards kind of provide the overall kind of theme, and then the tarot cards kind of help provide insight into, kind of the nuts and bolts of it, of the situation. So this reading takes me a little bit longer to kind of set up for you. So I will do some shuffling and card selecting, and then I'll be right back in your time, but it'll take me about 5 minutes. So I'll see you in a bit. That's all done for you. So what I'll do now is take you quickly through the simple Celtic cross spread, so that you can know what each of the positions means, and then we'll reveal the cards and see what insights come out for you this month. So in the center of the cross, we have underneath the current situation, and then overlaid on the top is the kind of intermediary energy, which can be either supportive or challenging. It really depends on what the card is and whether it's in reverse or upright. Down here underneath, we've got like the foundations to the situation, and this generally kind of represents energy or a belief or something from your past that kind of is really influencing how you think about the situation, how you act in the situation, what's kind of driving you in the situation, that sort of thing. Over here on the left, we have the recent past, so something that has occurred in the lead up to the situation. At the top here, we've got the likely outcome, and I kind of read any tarot spread as like, the likely outcome assuming no change. So, that's why we do tarot readings, for insights and introspection. And with the insights that emerge, you can use your free will to change the course of where things are heading. So, yeah, don't ever take any tarot reading as a sentence. And then over here on the right, we have the immediate future, sort of like assuming no change, what will flow out from, today or the current situation. All right, so let's jump right in. I always reveal the two cards in the center at the same time. So you've pulled the, in the current situation, the Chernabog card in reverse. And Chernabog speaks to sort of destructive loops of behavior, clinging to the familiar, and sort of South Node energy. So what you should be moving away from in this lifetime. And in the reverse, that suggests to me that you've done exactly that. You're moving away from energy that isn't serving your highest good in this lifetime. You have identified and are taking steps to address, challenges with, behavioral loops, or, these could even be addictions or, ways of kind of soothing and comforting that act as kind of spiritual bypassing. So I get the sense, Libra, that there's been a real change that has allowed you to kind of leave some things in the past in such a way that they no longer hold over you in the present day. And yeah, in the kind of intermediary energy, or the, in this case, it's what's supporting you. You've pulled Atlas here in the upright. And as Atlas kind of speaks to you, tapping into your inner masculinity as a protector. Like, it's that recognizing your inherent value as a living, being. And in that, we all inherently are of value. But it does so, Atlas does so through like a quiet sense of resolve. Like, he's not announcing or, coming with blaring trumpets. There's a quiet resolve and like a perseverance quality to Atlas that kind of, makes for like real kind of quiet achievements. They're the person who perseveres regardless of noise around them. All right, let's look at the foundations and see what comes up for you there. You've pulled up the Knight of Wands here in the upright. And the Knight of Wands is all about fire. They are quick to action. They are full of passion, and they can sometimes get it a little bit wrong. They can sometimes be a little bit quick to act. And I get the sense in terms of the foundations that perhaps Libra, this is something that is familiar to you, and perhaps that you've learnt from, because I'm not getting a negative read on it. I'm getting a read of yeah, there in the past there has been a tendency to jump the gun or be quick to sort of act, and that you've been both supported by that energy and you've also been burned by that energy. And now, in typical kind of Libra wisdom, you have seen how both sides of that dynamic can operate, and it's allowed you to step into a place of knowing that, taking a few seconds to kind of breathe through a situation is super helpful. There's been learning from life. Yeah, in the recent past, I'm getting the sense that is where you've had that that insight, because the Chariot kind of represents when our hearts and minds are in balance, and how that can create this speed of momentum, this kind of inexorable push forward that can make us almost unstoppable. And I get the sense that this momentum of the Knight of Wands has been deliberately paused in the recent past, and in that deliberate pause you've found insight that is invaluable, because I think it's insight that wasn't always there, and it's coming from a place where you felt challenged by sometimes jumping in too quickly, and now that you've had that pause, you've realized how valuable it is to weigh the scales, to take a moment of reflection, to make choices. And I think that's really powerful for you, provided, Libra, you don't get caught up in weighing the scales, because I know that that can also sometimes be a challenge where, there can be this desire to, have we uncovered every piece of data that needs to be uncovered? Do we know everything that we can know about a situation before making a decision? That's going too far, and I'm not suggesting that at all. I think it's that middle ground of knowing what you know, and then using what you know to make the best decision that you can at any given time, recognizing that as humans we have finite resources available to us to make choices. Yeah, in the likely outcome here, you've picked the King of Pentacles in the upright, and the King of Pentacles speaks to a sovereign who is grounded in his kind of earthly connection. He knows how to create systems and ecosystems that provide abundance, and also don't capitalize or over extract resources in such a way that would be kind of negative or diminishing. And I think, for you, Libra, that balance between extracting and then resourcing is kind of super important. And, I see the King of Pentacles almost as the midway between, this kind of fiery energy and the forward progression of the Chariot. He's very stable in his rule. He's not given to kind of flights of fancy or being ruled by emotions. He's very much kind of based in the tangible. And I think that is, where you kind of come to when you kind of have that realization that, you know, acting purely off hunches can kind of burn. Yeah, I think in the immediate outcome, you've pulled the Eight of Cups, which, you know, speaks to like walking away from a sense of grief or a sense of heartbreak that has been quite profound, but like walking towards like a new horizon. And there's wisdom in that as well, right? Like we don't learn from periods of ease or abundance. We learn from like heartache, and we learn from challenge. That's actually what kind of grows us. And I think, Libra, you've faced a lot of challenge and a lot of heartache, and, you know, rather than it leaving you sort of weak or challenged, it's kind of built this sense of resolve within you that isn't the fast-paced kind of forward progression of the Chariot. It's much more the solid and stable sense of groundedness that is the King of Pentacles. And I think, you know, that energy may sit uncomfortably with you as an air sign. It seems almost like antithetical of your nature. But if you think about, I guess, you know, the scales, and, you know, as your kind of the metaphor that kind of your sign is based on symbolically, you can't have too much of one thing without the balancing counter energy. And so for you, it's finding that earth energy, and I think you found it, because what I'm getting from this reading is that you're in balance at the moment, and it's when you're in that place of balance that you can you can find that opening into that library within you, which is where the wisdom kind of lies. So when I was selecting your cards, there was one left over, and whenever there's just one that kind of sits on, I kind of tend to put it to the side and use it to clarify. And I'm going to use it to clarify the King of Pentacles as the outcome. And yeah, I mean, this is beautifully kind of balanced. You've pulled the Page of Wands here. And that suggests to me that it's not about extinguishing a fire, it's about balancing it and using it to illuminate and to spark passions rather than to kind of like incinerate or, you know, kind of immolate. And what I mean in that is, you know, the Page of Wands is kind of like a messenger. He brings youthful exuberance to everything that he does. And, you know, he almost is kind of like, the way that I'm reading it in this spread is like he's like the King of Wands, like inner child, who has been integrated and balanced and brought into the King's kind of sense of identity. So there's no longer a sense of, you know, with Atlas, the problem can sometimes be it's like all work and no play makes Libra a dull boy or girl or, you know, non-binary individual. When the King of Wands is kind of balanced with that inner spark, he finds opportunities for play. He finds the time to tend to his inner child in such a way that allows for some whimsy, some joy. And I am very much getting the sense, Libra, that for you, you're coming into a period of impassioned success. I think that you're going to find that things just feel more aligned from here. And that's largely because you have found a way to no longer get caught in endless cycles of rumination, you listen to that spark and it provides like the rudder, and then you put your great mental perspicacity into action to bring those things into your life. All right, Libra, that's all I've got for you this month. I hope you enjoyed that. I will see you in the next one. Well, that's all I've got for you this month. So thanks again for tuning in and watching. If you'd like to learn more about the cards, read the profiles of the divine masculine archetypes and more, you can do that all on my website, and the link to that is in the video description below. Some insights take time to emerge, so sit with the messages and use your discernment to determine what's for you and what to leave behind. Feel free to leave comments below. I love hearing your feedback on what parts resonated. And don't forget to like and subscribe so that you don't miss your next reading. You might also consider checking out your moon, rising, and Venus signs for additional insights. Until next time, allow the moonlight to reveal your way and trust that you're on the right path. This is Artemis Oracle and Tarot. Divine what can't be seen by day, and behold, with new perspective, that which stalked in the night. See you in the next one. You've been watching Artemis Oracle and Tarot, a sacred space for healing for those on the moonlit path. Join us here on YouTube for monthly tarot readings by astrology sign and deep dives into the imagery and symbolism used in the making of our unique Artemis Oracle and Tarot decks. If having a space to work through the unpleasant but necessary parts of adulting sounds good to you, like and subscribe here on YouTube and follow us on Instagram so you never miss a beat. All links are in the description below.